Hey family, I wanted to come and just kind of share some insight on the difference between permanent insurance and term insurance. And the reason why is because insurance is one of the most miseducated and misunderstood areas of finances. And there's a lot of people out here talking about, oh, you should only buy this type or only buy that type. Usually they're coming from a biased perspective, trying to get you to buy whatever it is that they sell. Or again, they just don't really understand how insurance works. So think about term insurance as, I love to use the analogy of like renting a house, right? You know, when you first rent a house, it's cheap to do that. And then eventually the cost kind of goes up every year, like annual rent increases. That's kind of how term works. It's typically purchased for a temporary need, right? Another thing is when you're renting a house, you have no equity in the house, right? That's the same thing as it equates to cash value. There's no cash value in term. And eventually that coverage is going to end. So after that 10, 15, 20, 30 years or whatever it is, it's going to end. Very similar to when you're renting a house. Eventually you'll move out, the owner sells, etc. Now, permanent is like owning a house. And so, you know, when you buy a house, it typically costs you a lot more money up front. You got closing costs, you got down payments, things like that. That's kind of how permanent coverage works. It's higher, right? But the cost is level. You don't have to worry about the increases like you do with term. The cost is level. And typically people buy permanent for permanent needs. And so the coverage never runs out. It typically won't run out until you pass away. Okay. And it does build cash value similar to equity in a home, right? Unlike the term. So it builds that cash value and you don't have to worry about that coverage ending. So term is like renting, permanent is like buying. And just like when you're buying or renting a house, there are certain circumstances that justify doing one over the other, and one is not better than the other. It just depends on why you're doing it, right? What's the purpose of the coverage? So don't get caught up in, only buy term and only buy permanent, because at the end of the day, it's about the point and the purpose of the coverage. A lot of times people use the combination of both so that they're covering different needs all under one. So hopefully this was helpful. Let me know in the comments.